So, hello homies, how are you all? I hope you all are doing well and stay well in the future as well. So, in today's video, we are going to cover the 4th episode of Reality Quest Manhwa, in which, we will cover the 22nd, 23rd and 24th chapters of Reality Quest Manhwa. So, if any of you haven't watched the previous videos yet, go and check them out. So, let's start today's episode. So, in today's chapter starting, we see Il Sayag, who is saying to Dowan, "You are saying that this will be my deathbed, but I don't think so." And while saying this, Il Sayag charges towards Dowan. But on the other side, Dowan had gained a lot of experience from all the fights he had fought so far. So, he is saying that instead of using the blind spot technique like an attack, I can use it to avoid the opponent's moves. This will be more beneficial, because by doing this, a big gap is created in which I can land a punch. And we can see, while thinking all this, Dowan hits an amazing punch on Il Sayag's face. However, Il Sayag doesn't feel any difference from this punch. He pushes his hand towards Dowan, but Dowan strikes again. And then, Dowan throws a punch on his face. And he is thinking in his mind that this is a proper fight. And then we see that Il Sayag throws a punch which Dowan blocks very easily. And he says that when I saw the word allied monster written in front of his name, I was very scared. But now when I think about it, I feel that you are very weak. At least, you are stronger than I thought. And of course, now that I have increased my character stats, my body will feel different. And tonight, I am going to finish bullies like you forever. And then Il Sayag says, bullies like me? But do you know that I have done a lot of research on you? And I have learned a lot of interesting things from that research. The Sunshine Foundation is an organization that never paid attention to making profits. Its main goal was to get the misguided youth back on track, meaning, the police or the children who have gone in the wrong business, getting them back on track in their normal life. And actually, the person who created this organization, I mean Jinoha, was your father. Why? Am I right? This is not polite at all. You should not comment about other people's parents. And after this, the scene shifts. We come to Cyan Kong and Baek Changji, who are fighting each other. And Baek Chang tells Cyan, I was thinking today that I should finish bullies like you forever. Anyway, tell me, how did you guys come here? And while replying to this, Cyan Kong says, what are you saying, brother? I just followed my representative. And then Baek Changji says again, oh, so the representative of the bullies are also here. That's really great. You guys came to the lion's cave on your own. But Cyan says, don't worry, brother. I am a hunter myself. And while saying this, Cyan punches this dog named Baek Chang so hard that it literally flies in the air and hits the objects behind it. I mean, the table and chairs. And with this, Cyan Kong says, I killed all the specimens on the first floor. And I also found your dog, who always stays with you. Anyway, if I think about it now, I think Dua must have finished his story by now. And Cyan thinks that he killed Baek Chang. But Baek Chang is not the kind of person to give up. He comes back and punches Cyan in the face and says, that's not enough to defeat me. And he holds Cyan's hand and kicks him in the face. Although this kick did not have much effect on Cyan, he says with his nose bleeding that this move was very weak. But I can tell by looking at this that you have a very advanced skill set. But Baek Chang doesn't answer him. In fact, he says, I think you made a mistake. Actually, the game was over when you left your representative behind. And Cyan replies to him with a smile. He says, yes, I can say that Dowan Hai is a loser. But he is so strong that he can easily beat your opponent. But Baek Chang says to him, no, kid. If you had seen Il Sayag fighting, you would never have been able to say this. If I think about Il Sayag, I only remember one thing. That it doesn't matter how many punches he has received in his face, or how badly he has been beaten. And we can say how long this fight has been going on, because his stamina never ends. And we can clearly see Dowan versus Il Sayag, where Dowan has turned Il Sayag into a dog. First, he kicks him, then a punch on his stomach, and at last, with the help of a falcon drop, he completely knocks him out. Actually, this is what Dowan thinks. But very next moment, we see Il Sayag standing again, just like a zombie. And then the scene shifts again to Cyan, Kong and Baek Chang, where Baek Chang says, so you understand the meaning of all this. What am I trying to tell you? That I have never seen Il Sayag lose. And then the scene shifts again to Il Sayag and Dowan, where Dowan is already upset, because he is getting beaten up by this guy again and again, where now Dowan has only 200 mana points left. I mean now he can only use 1 to 2 skills properly. And he also does this, where he decides to use the last skill and make him sleep forever. And the skill he chooses is Falcon Drop, but before he could land the Falcon Drop, Illinois Seog's punch hits his face. And because of this punch, Dowan's skill becomes inactive. And then what? Dowan also uses a gap jab on Il Seog, but Il Seog avoids all these attacks and says, "I think you are completely exhausted now. And on top of that, you are also very slow now." And after this, he punches Dowan a lot and says, "I picked this up because I feel very bad for your father. He spent his whole life just to improve the bullies. And now his own son has become a bully. And if he is looking at you from above, then he must have really felt very bad. And now I think he just wasted his life in vain." And while saying this, he punches Dowan in the face. But to be surprised, Dowan takes this punch head on, and he doesn't care about it. And then we see a flashback, when Dowan got that golden key as a reward. I mean on the first floor. And you guys were so smart that you must have understood that Dowan must have used the golden key to unlock some active skill. And the scene shifts again to the present, where we see Dowan holding his collar and says, "I think I told you before that stop commenting about other people's parents." And then we are shown a flashback scene where we get Dowan's voiceover. And he says, "When I was a kid, I used to play a game with my dad on the console, which was called Stun Slam." And then we see Dowan's dad saying to him, "Son, there is a little more left, you can do it." And the simple scene of this game is that our main character, I mean the one who is playing this game, has to go to the castle of that evil lord, where after defeating that evil lord, the main princess of this game has to save him from there. And now we get Dowan's voiceover again, that it doesn't matter that I tried many times, but I kept failing every time. I faced death countless times, again, and again. And then we see a panel where a little Dowan says to his dad while crying, "Is it possible to win this game?" And after this, the scene shifts again to the present, where we see that Dowan got the same skill instead of the golden key. And this time the name of this skill is Stun Smash, and its requirement is 90 mana points. And you must have understood what this skill does, to pick up the opponent, and hit him very badly on the ground. And we see that in the present moment, Dowan picks up the LCO with his collar, and with the help of this skill, he hits him very badly on the ground. And Dowan feels that he has won this fight. And as soon as he leaves from there, he notices that LCO has never lost. He grabbed Dowan's leg, and he drags Dowan and drops him on the ground. And while standing, he says, and then the scene shifts. We come back to Kong and Baek Chong Z, and Baek Chong attacks Seon and says, "How unfortunate. I think your representatives are going to get hurt." And here Seon also replies, "How unfortunate. I think you should worry about yourself." And while saying this, Seon attacks Baek Chang's thigh with his hand, as if Baek Chang's balance is getting worse. And Seon and I also thought that he would fall, but he stands on the ground with such a strange stance, as if he is not a human, and I don't know how, but in this strange position, he attacks Seon with both his feet. And with this, he says, "Although he is your representative to show, but you should care a little." And in the same way, Seon also asks him, "Don't you think you should also worry about your representative?" But then Baek Chong says, "Why should I worry about him?" And we see that Baek Chong has ruined Seon's balance. He drops him on the ground, and he climbs on top of him and throws a punch at him. And he says, "Our representative is not like you. He is literally so powerful that even Yoon Seong can't do anything to him." And after this, the scene shifts again to Dowan and Il Suk, where we see that Dowan is constantly trying to attack him, but he can't land any attack properly on him. And Il Suk has beaten him up here and made him Dowan's dog. But Dowan stands up again after falling, and says, "You're not the only one who can stand up again and again." And with this, Dowan comes back to Il Suk, and he punches his body a lot. But Il Suk says, "It doesn't mean anything. You have already lost." And after this, he keeps punching Dowan in the face, so that Dowan moves back a little. And then we are shown a flashback scene again, where Dowan says to his dad, "I really worked so hard, but will I come to this stage and lose?" But Dowan's dad tells him that this is never going to happen. Actually, whatever happens in this world, it all has a meaning. And I'm sure you'll find a way to beat this monster. And as soon as he hears this, Dowan gets lost in his thoughts. And again, he picks up the remote controller and starts playing, and says, "I'm not going to eat until I beat him." And after this, the scene shifts back to the present moment, where Dowan goes back to attack Il Suk. And Il Suk says again, "It doesn't mean anything." But before he could complete his sentence, Dowan's very powerful punch lands on his chest, with which he flies back. And I know the people who have been following this monster for a long time. They know that this is nothing but a critical hit. However, while going back, Il-suk has balanced his body again. And Dowan comes to him and says, "It's difficult to beat you. It's difficult to defeat you. But you can't deny one thing, that you're also a human being." And Il-suk gets mad after seeing all this. He asks Dowan, "Were you saving all this for the final? But I want to tell you that that won't be enough to defeat me." And while saying this, he punches Dowan in the stomach. But then he suddenly notices that these two people are standing just above the stairs. And as expected, Dowan grabs his face and jumps down with him, and says, "Do you know that in the world of games, nothing is more difficult than defeating the evil lord?" And then we are shown the flashback again, where little Dowan has finally cleared this game. And when his dad asks him about how he did it, then Dowan tells him that it was very simple. "It wasn't as difficult as I thought it would be. I didn't do much. Just dropped the evil lord down the stairs. That too with a slam. And by doing this, I defeated the boss very easily. Anyway, this is a matter of the past. Because if we come to the present, then we see that Dowan has done a similar thing, at the present moment, where he grabs the face of the evil lord, and jumps down the stairs. And at the same time, he also activates his skill, the stun slam, and just because he was falling down the stairs, that's why the impact of this skill has increased by about 10 times. And Dowan slams him so badly, that literally there are cracks on the ground below. And with this, the so-called unbeaten Il-suk has lost. And after this, the scene shifts again to the past, where we see that Dowan's dad is telling him, "Dowan, you have learned a very important thing today. Never forget this in your life. You found it yourself, how to defeat the evil lord. And remember, if you ever have any problems in the future, then instead of running away from them, find a way to solve them. And I want to tell you again, that nothing is meaningless in this world. Whatever happens here, everyone has some meaning." And after this, we come to the present moment, where Dowan has done his job. He is sitting on the side, and says, "Finally, he lost." And then we are shown the scene outside the building, where a guy comes here wearing a nice coat, and says, "That monkey named Dowan has come here." This means he was not afraid of anything. And after this, the scene shifts again, on our second fight, I mean Baek Chang-ji versus Seon, where we see that Baek Chang-ji is constantly punching Seon's face. But then he notices that Seon Kong has grabbed his throat, and Seon says while getting up here, "Call him. I don't care. Whose representative do you bring here? Celine Dong's, Yoon Chong-han, or Bong Cheon's? Your so-called representative, like people call monsters. I will beat them all." And we see for a while, Kong keeps his throat pressed, which makes him unconscious, finally. And then we see that after a while, Dowan has also arrived here, and he is thinking in his mind that I think Seon has handled everything here so far. But then he sees in front of him that Kong is completely beaten up, near a pillar. Around him, there are blood splatters all over the body. And here that bastard Baek Chang-ji says while laughing, "What do you think? You can only make me unconscious by pressing my throat. I really like such dogs, who lower their guard." And while saying all this scoundrel is about to kick Kong, but then Dowan comes from the side, and pushes him, and then screaming, says to him, "Hey Kong, get up. Do you still have some energy left in you? You are super strong, bro. It was me who pulled you into this danger. You don't worry, you run away from here. I will distract him till then." And then Baek Chang the scoundrel, says while getting up, "Oh, a friend has come here to rescue someone. So you are Dowan, huh? I think you defeated the LCO, huh?" And then again in front of Dowan, a system window pops up, on which it is written, "Boss Monster, Baek Chang-ji." And after reading this, of course Dowan is scared again. He is thinking, now I don't have mana points, nor is there any HP left. And the worst thing, that Seon Kong is not even in a condition to stand. It seems that our graves are going to dig here today. And Dowan is thinking all this. Then Baek Chang-ji, preparing his punch, comes to him, and says while screaming, "Bong Cheon will take over Bormai today." But before he can punch Dowan, there is a sound coming from behind him. "Take over, on whom?" And as soon as Baek Chang-ji looks back, he sees that Siyuk is standing behind him. And now finally, we are given the introduction of the guy in the suit. His name is Siyuk, and he is the representative of Bong Cheon. And seeing this guy Siyuk in front of him, Baek Chang-ji starts sweating. He shouts at him, "What are you doing here, Siyuk? You should have told me. If you had any work, I would have come to you myself." And Dowan, who is standing here on the side, he is looking at all this, and he doesn't understand anything. How can this guy be so nervous in front of anyone? And then Si-yuk comes to Dowan, and Dowan is thinking in his mind, no doubt, he looks strong, but one thing is not coming out of my mind, why is this guy so small? And now we are shown a panel, where this guy Si-yuk, is looking like a kid in front of Dowan and Baek Chang-ji. I mean he was a middle schooler, who had come in the previous chapters. And then Baek Chang-ji says again, you shouldn't worry about them. These are some examples of Bormai, who had entered here. And then Si-yuk says in a very serious voice, Baek Chang-ji, tell me one thing. I have heard that you had sent your boys to Shernan High School, and not only that, I have even found out that you have taken money from the CEO to restart the construction of this company. And we can see, Baek Chang-ji is literally about to lose his pants. And then Si-yuk says again, you have done something, which you shouldn't have done, you really deserve a beating. And we see that this guy literally, in one kick, has blown Baek Chang-ji in the air, and the impact of this kick is so much, that literally Baek Chang-ji's 2 teeth, can be seen clearly in the air, and Dowan can't believe his eyes, that what he just saw. And then Si-yuk says again, now when I think about it, then I feel, should we really take over Burma? And this is what he is saying, right in front of Dowan's face. And Dowan is totally sweating here, but then only the voiceover comes from behind him. Don't joke, this is not funny at all. And we see that finally Yoon Seong has also come here, which means 2 powerful representatives are in front of him. Interesting. And then Dowan asks Yoon Seong, what are you doing here? But then Si-yuk says, don't you know, he has called me here. Actually Yoon Seong was the one who gave me the address here. And then the scene shifts to the past, where we see, when Dowan comes to ask Yoon Seong for help, where Yoon Seong has the map of the same place. And Dowan says to him, this is not a big deal, you just have to come with me there on Friday, and if there is any problem there, then I am sure you will solve it easily. And we all know Yoon Seong had refused to come here, although we have seen this scene in the past, but then it was not properly cleared to us. And after this, the scene shifts to the present, where we see Dowan, who is saying, did he really remember the address in that time? And then we see Yoon Seong, who says here, let's finish this meaningless thing. Anyway, you called me here, because you said, you have something that I should see. And then Si-yuk says here, yes, you are right. Anyway, what you and Bormai did to my boys, I forget it for today. And he looks back at Dowan, and says, hey, remember, after today, this should not happen again. And we see here, behind Si-yuk, Yoon Seong also left, where these 2 guys have already left. And after this, we see the scene after a while, where Dowan is leaving with Si-yoon Gang, and Gang also asks here, hey, what is going on with your Yoon Seong? And Dowan tells him, that we are not exactly friends, but we are working in a corporation. And Si-yoon says, I am sure that Punk will have some meaning from you, otherwise, he is not going to roam behind you without meaning. Anyway, you are the representative of Bormai Dong. But then Dowan says, don't worry, I am not a representative from today, because as I promised, I give you the position of representative of Bormai Dong from today. And then Si-yoon remembers all those old moments, where Dowan helped him today, and once he literally saved him from getting stabbed, and today he also stood up for Si-yoon. And remembering all this, Si-yoon goes ahead and says, what do you think? Bully Council works like this. The position of the representative is not a joke. Like pass on, I am the seat of this representative, so I will take it properly, by defeating you in the fight, so don't die before that. And Dowan says to him, yes, you are very impressive. And after this we see, that a system window has popped up in front of Dowan, on which it is written, that the royal castle has been completed. And now when the quest has been completed, so now it's time to take the reward. But then a red system window pops up, on which it is written, you have no contribution in this, 0% contribution, so your reward has been decreased to a large extent. And we see the scene after a while, where Dowan gets 12 bronze keys, although this reward has been decreased, but Dowan is still very happy. And after this we see the scene in the morning, where Dowan has finally come, at his dad's memorial, where he stands in front of his dad and his family photo, and says, Dad, this is me Dowan. And then he gets a flashback, where we are shown the same moment, where his dad had died, and here a policeman is telling Dowan's mom, that the accident of his car, it happened because of brake failures. Actually at that time, a man was trying to cross the road, and to save him, he made his car directionless. After which his car collided with a pole, and we find out here, that the doctors have also raised their hands. and the doctors say, now it would be best that you say the final goodbye to him. And after seeing all this, of course Dowan's mood is very much off. He is about to keep his flowers here, but then he notices that someone has come here before. And then he hears from his side, he was really a good man. He was really so good, that he thought of saving someone else's life, even at the last moment. But what if I tell you, that it was not an accident, but it was a planned crime? And do you know, that the criminal is around us, and we see that there is no one else. This is Yun Chong, who says to Dowan, if I say this, then what will you say? And on this interesting note, chapter number 24 ends, and our episode number 4 too, so I hope so. You must have enjoyed this video, and if it is true, then make sure to like and subscribe, and do give a high point. That is the most important, and I always say this to my genuine audience, the people who have seen the video so far. And how do you like my explanation? And what can I improve? Do tell me by commenting. Do comment. All of you who are 60 to 70, are watching the video so far, do comment. So now let's meet in our next video, I mean in episode number 5. Till then, goodbye homies.